Hi, Thomas.
Hello, Mr. Ned.
Congratulations on establishing your studio.
Well, thank you. How was your travel today? You travel a bit of the way.
It was nice, like a meditation session in the morning.
So instead of the van, you need to get some sort of like a nice like luxury, like 7 Series BMW. Or...
Yeah, but then we can't fit our lights in.
Well, you got many.
I've got few large ones. Well, the thing is, the reason we have a van with built-in storage and then like all the shelves and then drawers and all that, so you can take it off the boxes. You stack everything in there, which is again, I think it's a bit too wet. I don't want electronics to get soggy and fail on us.
Still a risk.
It is. Yeah, and I wouldn't leave all the expensive stuff throughout the nights. So boxes it is. And when we talk about boxes, we've got some humongous boxes.
So does the size matter?
Whoever says it doesn't, I mean, you are just being ridiculing yourself. Who are you kidding?
Considering I know you did one huge mistake in your life by going into business. You were a really good architectural photographer in London, doing huge, fantastic projects, and then you decide to change the city, and not only that, change from photography into videography. Can you explain to me why such a massive change, and why from something you're really good at, why you went into videography?
Because we don't like it easy. I've done over 600 properties in London. I want new skills, to learn new stuff, challenge myself. Video was the thing that was up and coming. It was very promising. That gives much more benefits to our clients, and it works on social media miles better than photography would do.
Talking about social media, 10 years ago, it used to be a written post. Slowly, that got shifted more towards the photography. If you don't see a pretty image, you don't actually stop scrolling. And do you see that change happening from photography? If the picture on social media isn't moving, nobody's stopping even to look at it.
100%. Photographers are forced to become filmmakers to advertise their photography services. You need to become a content creator to advertise your photography awesome skills and how good you are. I think that explains everything. You have to do video.
There is an old saying, the picture says 1,000 words.
No doubt, good photographers, with their imagery, they tell stories, and that's undeniably powerful. It's incredibly hard to do. It's like a piece of art. When you go to museums, that's a really expensive art piece hanging on the wall. It is expensive for a reason. Yes, for us it looks like a splash of colors, and that's pretty much it. Every 5-year-old could do that. You try to do that, and it just doesn't happen. It's so difficult to do. So same with the photography. That one image still tells thousands of words. But nowadays, you can tell your story in the video much better. And it's a little bit more straightforward process to do to a certain level. And then again, it becomes really hard when you're reading in between the lines, showing something instead of saying something. That's where the complex bit comes in.
If you haven't finished university in terms of having a degree in videography or photography, does it bring any benefits when you are self-taught, or do you feel that you still lack of some skills?
I don't think it limits us in any way that we are self-taught. I think it's quite the opposite. YouTube University, that's a university to apply for. Everybody can do that. When you are teaching yourself, you're learning from many tutors, you choose what you want to learn. In the back of your mind, there's a doubt that I missed something. And when you're doubting yourself, you don't stop pushing yourself to do new things. And it just keeps you on your toes. It keeps you trying because you're never satisfied. The misconception those graduates get, I graduated, that's done. No, it's not done. It's just the beginning. Now you're going to start learning the actual craft from your mistakes and putting that thing into action and failing and failing and failing again and again. We started with that failing, and then we learned. Everything we do now stems from us trying things. Some of them worked out. Some things started bugging after some time. Most of the clients are happy with what we produce. And the problem is, I'm not happy. We always do our best, hands down, all the time. With some projects, after the fact, you see, oh, this could be improved, this could be improved, this could be improved. From our side, we're always doing everything to give them the best result possible at that given time with our current knowledge. And then obviously the growth happens. And we are trying to, again, push ourselves and deliver something nicer. Even like this studio. How many studios you visited?
A few.
And yet we established our own.
It's a very clear explanation why. You are a perfectionist. Every studio we visited, it had something that was wrong. Either booking system wasn't up to scratch, either the sound wasn't good enough, the interior wasn't good enough, or the lights were not accurate enough, or sometimes the cameras are not able to record in high enough resolution. Every studio we visited had a little flaw. Hence, we needed to establish our own studio where we can correct all the flaws what everybody else did.
Yeah, exactly that. And not to say that this setup is now perfect, but that's our starting point, and we're just gonna go from there. Same thing is gonna happen, evolution. We'll just improve things as we go.
Already better than any other ones with the words. Matter to taste.
Exactly right. You can't satisfy everyone, but it's not that we are expecting something out of this world. Just don't want to see that texture on the wall, which kind of destroys the image when we post online. Those little things, which from the acoustic treatment point of view, was just brilliant. You go into those double doors, quattro windows, like in a bunker, you sit in there, you have no noises whatsoever. It's perfect on that regard. All the audio system, preamps, everything's there. Sounds crisp, beautiful, but it looks awful. How can we, working on the visuals, allow that to happen? Other studios were visually nicer, audio was crap. Eventually, we just had to do it ourselves. So what do you think? What are the trends going forward? What's going to happen with the marketing, with the social media?
Especially after COVID, when we all been locked down and we all had a very limited information, people start feeling that they need that raw material, that raw emotion, that connection with someone else. Very simply, look at the podcast sessions. Everyone is doing it for a reason, because it works. In the podcast, you got full engagement. Yes, it's an hours long interview. So when you sit in the car, not straight away you're turning up the radio, you're turning up the podcast. You know you're going to be driving an hour. So rather than listening to the radio and radio ads, you select what you want to listen. Hence the podcast coming into play. Something you are interested in, choosing a specific topic. Professional studio environment, good quality sound plays a big part in that. A high quality video production is not going anywhere. It has its place in the market. But for everyday listening, learning something, the podcast is a really, really good place to entertain people. And when you have an attention of someone for an hour, the sky's the limit. You can literally do anything.
When you're talking about the topics that whoever decided to listen to you, you can share the knowledge you've got, all the insights and everything. It's entertaining, it's beneficial, and it's natural. It's just the way you are. If you are using that as a marketing tool, you are presenting yourself the way you are.
And those scripted videos, the promotional videos, they still have their place, but at the end of the day, you're not going to be listening a promotional video while driving in the car. That promotional video will attract that necessary attention on social media or when you're searching for something. But in terms of sharing information, learning, educating your clients, this setup, I think, is ideal. I find.
Which one?
Don't touch the microphone. You are an operations director within the business. I wanted to understand more about your process of what sort of preparation, mentally or physically, I don't know what you need to do before you step your foot onto the filming set.
Mentally, it's difficult because I know I'm going to spend the whole day with you. That's tough. Tough gig. Tough gig. You can think of every single bit, every single shot. You can plan everything, and it just never goes to plan. That's a given. Last shot we have with Vax is that I've got all the shot lists. Everything's there. I know for a fact everything's going to go sideways. So we're going to have to work on our feet and think on as we go. And then when projects become to a certain level similar, then you just go with the flow and everything's happening naturally. When you over-prepare, at least you get something done.
Failing to prepare is prepare to fail. Tell me about your day. Let's say you wake up in the morning and today at 9 o'clock you have to be in Brighton to do the interview shoot, for example, with some B-roll potentially. So tell me exactly how your day starts.
My day starts a week before when I start thinking about the shots, looking into the script or plan for the day, what we need to film, vision on how it's going to look, thinking about the shot in the actual place where we're going to be filming in, considering the lighting, what equipment I'm going to need. We're starting to charge all the batteries for all the lights, putting everything next to my entrance. So I know that in the morning, all I have to do is just to carry all that stuff in the van. So yeah, in the morning it's easy. You wake up, maybe a little bit of stress in here. That's a good thing. We're always playing it safe. We never depend on the lights that are on set because it's just not usable for our purposes. And then you can take your creative vision to reality, or at least as close as possible to reality. Sometimes we are not able even to switch off the light in some sort of office. It's all automatic. So then we have to flag it up and then get the closest thing we can get to our vision.
As long as you got that vision, as long as you prepared yourself mentally, got everything in your mind, you're gonna get closer to the expected shot.
Absolutely. Preparation is key, yes. It comes with the practice. You then know quickly what shots you can get, and you know that this project is going to be a little bit more advanced and different. And that's what we want.
I'm going to put you on the spot, but do you remember the worst shoot you ever had where possibly nothing went to plan? Was there anything like that?
Last photography. Again, going back to photography, was like Okay, so we are having a group shot in here, and it's like pitch black environment. Okay, started setting up strobe lights. Cables was missing, one light was a bit loose. It was event coverage. It's very straightforward. And again, us being perfectionists, wanting to have some better quality outcome, that's where you need to be prepared. If you're gonna bring all the stuff and you're not gonna use it correctly, then it doesn't help you. The biggest, fanciest Arri Alexa camera, it's not gonna make your movies look better if you don't know how to light the set.
So you're saying that it's more important for a person to know how to use the equipment rather than just have lots of equipment.
Technology is moving forwards at an increasingly fast rate, and there was a time when we used to go to a filming set and our equipment was filming in a worse quality than the customer's phone does. Just fundamentally, if you take it out of the box, your phone is creating a better image. So you have to test it out, push your equipment to limits, and then you'll know what's working, how to achieve the best possible result out of that. It doesn't have to be the most expensive, absolutely not. When you get to that level, when you cannot physically pull off the image from the camera you're using, where it's like a physical limitation of the camera, then it's a time to upgrade. Not like, oh, that's a new release. Oh, yes, everyone's, hyping about it, new sensor, this and that. It makes your life easier. Margin for error is a bit greater. Fewer things you have to think about. But effectively, it goes down to the fundamentals. You have to know the equipment. You have to know in what circumstances, what settings to use, how to go about it, how to light it.
So would you say that it doesn't help if you're going to have the most expensive camera, but you only be able to utilize 10% of that camera's capability? So rather have a cheaper camera, but as long as you can utilize 90% of that camera's capabilities, you're still going to be better off.
Absolutely.
Let's say you're done with a shoot, you're tired, it's been a long day, possibly 8, 10, 12, 14 hours of filming, loads of SD cards, loads of footage. Hopefully your boss took you to a restaurant or kebab shop or Wetherspoons or something just to feed you.
If you can call Wetherspoon's restaurant, then yes.
So what's the next step? You came back home, you unload the equipment, you went into the office. Do you still work the same nights?
Depends. If it's been 14 hours, so then no chance of doing anything in that day because you're going to do more mistakes. It is a thing. When you have lots of SD cards and archives, everything is just becoming increasingly more difficult. So we are distributing the footage, but with a fresh head, not that same night. Or you can start offloading, but not arranging it. And then in the morning, fresh mind, you just see, check, and group everything by the days of filming, by the equipment you use, like cameras, different types, drones. This is key in here. So it's all easily accessible. It's easy for the team members. It's easy for yourself. When the projects get bigger, when you have multiple day shoots, it's incredibly hard to navigate through all the footage and find the right bits. This is a key moment where you have to put everything in the right places so you know where to find when you need it quickly. And then we cut the timeline with all the footage, bits that's usable. And then out of that usable, we're selecting the best shots. When it comes to editing the projects, we just build a really, really strong narrative from whatever interviews we have. Then when we get that story, ups and downs, that emotional drive throughout the video, then we are building music on top of it. More often than not, it's 2-3 tracks per one video. Again, based on what you need to feel at that moment. Cutting the music is pretty much chopping, recutting it. I personally, I only feel like I've done a good enough job to proceed with the next steps when I get goosebumps. Then it's like, okay, we can proceed further. That's quite often a struggle. You have to get into that flow state. It just doesn't happen. And all of a sudden, it just happens. And then when you have a solid narrative, when you have a solid audio, so you build on top of it with a really nice B-roll. And at that point, you start realizing what things could be left unsaid but showed, how you should go in transitioning from one part of the video to another part of the video. The goal is video is exciting, does the job, it gets the feeling across, and you just watch, 3 minutes video and you felt like it's 10 seconds. That's the goal. You deal with businesses. What struggles do businesses have when they feel the need of marketing themselves to put themselves for wide audiences?
I don't think there is a struggle for them to understand that they do need marketing. As soon as you incorporate the company on the company's house, you know marketing is a huge part of it. Without marketing, without educating your clients, you're not going to have a business. It's a very, very basic principle. I think the biggest struggle for the business owners is that they understand the video is the way to go, but they have no clue where to start. Let's say for a smaller size business, say 1 to 10 employees, the struggle, if they want more business, they have to be on social media, just being out there, educating their clients or sharing the product or services they provide. But for them, then the struggle is, okay, how can I share it? If I'm an accountant, I can write a text. Good start. 10 years ago, it might would have worked. 5 years ago, a photo of a calculator in front of the mass amount of paperwork, that might have worked. But these days, video is becoming an organic next thing business is required to get attention from potential clients. Any video is good for business. If you're a one-man band, if you run, I don't know, let's say a plumbing business, if you're gonna have overly good videos on your social media, people might not call you because they will think this is a huge company. Seems like their marketing is very spot on. They produce very high quality videos, and I'm just a single old lady and I need my tap to be changed. I might not call them.
You look like you are too expensive for that single lady.
That could be an issue. If the business owner or someone who's in charge of the social media within the business, if they want to start doing the video production themselves, start with your phone. That is a good starting point. But at some point, you're going to need to upgrade it. You're going to need to make it better. You're going to need to find a different or unique ways to portray your business. That's where the quality of the video comes into play. You will be looking help from professionals, from people like you and me who did that for a number of companies, got enough experience to advise them, to help them to understand how to do that video in better way or more efficient way.
And that's the thing, it doesn't mean it's going to be more expensive.
No, not necessarily.
Instead of doing mistakes yourself, which is going to eventually cost you more than hiring professionals who are going to do things in the first instance.
Well, look at our latest offer. If we can produce 20 social media videos for £1,000, that's £50 a video. Think of how long it's going to take a business owner to make that 1-2 minute long video. Do you reckon he's going to do that in an hour? He needs to think of what to film, what to say, where to film, how the environment would look. Because if the business owner gets paid £50 an hour, as long as he can do that within an hour, good luck to him.
After that 1 hour, you're just going to have one piece of content. And nowadays, one piece is not cutting it.
And that's where you're hiring a professional. Yes, you're going to pay them £1,000, but within the same hour, that professional will do 20 videos, which is going to become £50 a video. Then you're going to have a better quality, better sound, better visual. In the beginning, that single one-man band don't have that £1,000 to invest into his business. He can easily film that with a phone. But even that, give a call to a local video production company. Just ask an advice. There's no harm in asking.
You don't ask, you don't get, as you always say.
Yeah.
I'll learn that from you.
The big problem we start finding with hiring people, that was a huge struggle for us. I've seen the problem when phones start taking good quality images, everybody start taking pictures with the phones. They assume that they became photographers. In that time, you would have struggled to hire a wedding photographer who actually knows what they're doing, because everybody would be applying for the same job, even though they only had a few good pictures with their phones. So when the phones start taking good enough videos, everybody became a videographer.
It has become very accessible.
So without knowing the basics, can you do a good video just with your phone?
Throughout our evolution as humans, it's always been storytelling. Most people, they do that without even knowing. They tell the stories like, oh, let me tell you one, you're going to love that. Even like traveling to a shop to buy milk, you can present it in such a nice way that's like, wow. And you tell me your dad did not come back from the shop? like never? So yes, absolutely. You can produce a really nice video without even a decent equipment. The crucial things, again, in my opinion, is sound. Sound has to be a good quality. If the visuals are so-so, 1080p, it's not about that. If you can incorporate all the sounds and create the mood, visual is just the 50%, audio is another 50%. Watch the student videos when they're recording semi-decent camera, but they don't use any external mics and sounds really horrible. If you struggle to understand what they are saying, then you failed. Audio is crucially important. Nowadays, it's very cheap to get a good audio. The next step is storytelling. That's a fundamental. And then lighting. How can you achieve the vision in your heads by changing the lights or repositioning? You don't have to have physical lights. You can use sun. Sun is cheap light.
Where do you get your inspiration? I know for a fact there was a few TV series where the lighting was playing such a big part. Where's your inspiration comes into play?
Lately, even those TV series, you don't have to splash out 10 grand for one light. For 10 grand, you can get 10 lights equally powerful. So that's why you can control the environment to such a degree. It's just incredible. So every movie, even lower budget movies now, they look so good. It is becoming more accessible and more affordable, and you can actually achieve the result. But still, occasionally you come across the TV series. Peaky Blinders for me was one. You can literally stop and you can print it out and hang it on your wall. That's how good it was.
Was it ever a point for you when you actually stopped and then you were trying to analyze how did they place those lights? How did they create the environment, the feel, the mood, visualize it, how that set looks from behind the scenes?
I can't see now a movie without analyzing it, which is destroying the experience, actually. You start seeing details. And I think when you get to the point where you start seeing details, then you can improve your work. Okay, it destroyed my movie experience, but I can bring something to my work. That's good. Happy with it. Peaky Blinders, my goodness, I've stopped so many shots and I was like admiring the staging, wardrobe, composition. There's a massive crew working on it. That's why it's so perfect. Everybody's doing their job, and when everyone's doing their job to the best ability they can, you get that masterpiece.
Quite a few clients ask me, Thomas, show me the video you like the most. I always tell them the last video we produced is the one I like the most, because I watched that video least amount of times, and with every video we making our production better and better. I can guarantee you the video we will be producing for you will be my favorite video until we're gonna do a next one. How is it for you?
With the latest work, obviously, we are bringing our latest knowledge and experience. Therefore, technically and visually, it's better. It's much more pleasing. Technically, the latest one is the best one. Every project is different. There are some old ones which are my favorites. Time after time, I revisit them, even though technically there's some mistakes. I would do some things differently now, or I would cut narrative slightly different just to make it much more impactful. To make a video better, you have to spend more time on the video. To get to the 80%, it takes you 20% of effort. To get to the rest, 20% takes you 80% of the effort. That's why the industry professionals, they will notice the difference. They will appreciate that. Oh, that must have taken a longer time. It was just flowing so nicely. That's why, because we spend a lot of time. Everything is just as it should be. Not as you expect it to be, but it just boom, it stirs you, wakes you up at the right moments, it becomes soft and touchy-feely, I mean, we are creating those things. It's all about figuring and refiguring and finding, and quite often, like in the middle of the project, we change the track.
Even in the middle of editing, you will scrap the project.
Not the whole project, that part, trying to get something better and revisiting old favorite tracks, occasionally using same track that we used on another project. A golden rule, it has to be completely different industry so it doesn't clash or anything. That was a favorite for a reason. And yeah, again, we're not audio composer. Although the way we cut tracks, it's a process. With every project, you're raising the bar. You have to be Olympic champion to get to that bar, but I need to be better. And it's only this much you can expand yourself. And then you just realize, my goodness, man, we're not getting paid to spend that much time. Even the budget doesn't allow us, we'll still make it to the 100% that we want it to be. And in the end of the day, when you look at it, no, okay, that's nice. It was worth it.
Until you're gonna produce another one.
We've gotten to the point, actually, where like famous creators on Vimeo that I followed were admired their work. Ours is becoming very similar. I started seeing imperfections in their work, which I'm sure they're also seeing it. And I'm sure they're looking back into that video. It's bloody amazing video. I love it. But those bits, not so much. It's the same with our projects. Again, there are some projects which I really love.
Would you say that the story element within the video is almost like a backbone?
Absolutely. It's all built on that. That's why you build your building on top. It cannot be boring to watch. It cannot be soulless.
Well, you got loads of compliments from such a strange and odd industry. If you make construction workers cry after watching the video about their construction project, there must be something there.
That's the whole idea, isn't it? That's why we're working hard towards it. You're crafting perfect narratives. We're cutting those narratives. We started with the construction videos. Now we're doing documentaries for the same sector. That's our growth. And I think it has to be that way. Next stage is what? 6 packs, ripped bodies, with a good narrative.
I heard one of the producer of the original Top Gear said, to produce a 1 minute long video, it requires him to have 250 times more usable footage. Is that true?
Oh, absolutely. Remember in the beginning, we were afraid to overshoot. Storage costs money. Sifting through that footage costs us money. Time. And that's the time you're never going to get back. I realize that experimenting whilst you're on the set enables you to elevate your editing to the next level.
But all of that just takes a lot more time.
But in the end of the day, you have options.
It's more impactful video at the end of the day.
Absolutely. You can shape it the way you want it. You've got those elements of dynamicism and then some additional things which you wouldn't in your right mind think about. But then when you edit, when you spend that reasonable amount of time thinking and rethinking and starting to see things in between the lines, then those things come into play. And then it's like, that's That's beautiful.
We've got so much to share, and I think now and then we can easily have these conversations and help us to understand our business, to help us to understand each other, and hopefully to bring some benefit for a viewer, someone who wants to understand. As long as that's going to help people, why not? If you don't want to listen, don't listen. If you don't want to watch, don't watch. Nobody's forcing you.
That's the thing. You have options.
Don't watch it.
How dare you not to watch it? No, but kudos to you guys who stayed until the end. We love you. Thank you very much, Thomas. It's been a great pleasure.
It was a pleasure having a chat with you in English.
In English.
In broken English.